Hey everyone, it's Libby from Maighstirtarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Worimi First Nations people. It's WORIMI, and welcome to you, your guides, my guides in the universal energies. Just looking over here to see what I'm actually going to have a read on next, because I'm I'm not just sort of, I'm really over the regimes. There's a lot of news coming out. It's just very much same monkeys, different day. Literally all three of them, and we're talking about the is not real, we're talking about the Rusky, and we're talking about the US regimes, not the people, but those that like to think that they're possibly in charge, clinging on to the rim of the toilet bowl while they're being flushed. Just absolute desperation. And you can hear the desperation in their voice, and you can see it in the way that they look. And just let go, get flushed, and then we can start again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually have a look at something a little bit different in this particular reading. What I'm going to go to, I'm actually going to go to what's happening in Belfast at the moment. So, as ghastly as it is, what's happening in Belfast at the moment? Let me just bring up my newspaper article. Not that one, not that one, not that one. Oh, Mikey Johnson. Oh dear, Mikey of the Little Johnson, claiming that there's the California's been rigged, but it's been rigged so tight that we can't even work out how it's been rigged, all that. Oh, please. Now, what I'm going to actually have a look at is I'm going to go to Belfast. I'm going to use the Tarot Grand Lux, this particular deck here. So what's happened in Belfast is there was, and it's just absolutely awful. There was a man stabbed in Belfast by an immigrant who was, or an asylum seeker who was from Sudan. Okay, so what I want to have a look at is what's going to be happening over there. So what's happened? First of all, what's happening? So we don't know why the Sudanese asylum seeker attacked the Irish gentleman in Belfast. What's happening though is the mixed martial arts supposed champion. He's retired from that. He's very much extreme far right, up there with Tommy Robinson type far right. They're just agitators, anti-immigration. He's calling for the military to come in and remove all immigrants and all asylum seekers from Belfast, etc. And I did have to actually chuckle, and it's not a laughing matter, but I did have to chuckle with our local news reported on it last night. And they reported about this gentleman had been stabbed. They had the Sudanese guy in custody. So he wasn't killed, but he did lose an eye. They had the Sudanese guy in custody, and there were hundreds of protesters. And I just had to laugh with the fact that they said hundreds of protesters, because the way some media likes to portray it looks like the entire city came out, like tens of thousands, overturning vehicles and setting fire, etc. Yes, they were overturning vehicles and setting fire, but it wasn't the whole city. It was hundreds of those that are very much on this extreme fringe, that fall for the rage baiting that happens, who can't see beyond the superficial of any situation. So what I want to have a look at is what's going to happen in Belfast, and I also want to have a look at what's going to happen in the Sudan region. Now, I'm quite familiar with what's happening in the Sudanese region at the moment, because I did a past life reading for my daughter years ago, and she had actually had a previous life as a child soldier, and had been unalived in that lifetime, and it led to some anxiety issues. So I did the reading, and what happened is, after we worked out the age ranges of everything happening for her, child soldier in the Sudanese Civil War, a lot of it fell into place, and we were then able to work through and deal with it. So the Sudanese Civil War, pretty much what happened is they had a dictator in place. In 2019, there was a coup to overthrow the dictator. And what happened though, if supposedly for them to have democratic elections, etc., install a democracy, but then there was a falling out between the two military parties. So there was the two generals, there was the head of the armed forces, so the government armed forces, and then there was the head of the rapid support force. They had a falling out. And then what happened is the head of the armed forces took over the government. Military coup takeover, sometimes it can be dangerous, and expelled the head of the rapid support forces military, and then it descended very rapidly into civil war. Okay, they did have a little short period of peace there after the dictator was ousted, and then it just absolutely fell apart again. So I'm going to start with what's happened. What can we see happening in Belfast? Now, those that are in government and in the police are obviously calling for calm. Oh, I have to speak about calling for calm. Our government's calling for calm too, is our far right. The Orange Harpies Party, with the backing of the Liberal Party, and believe me, they're not liberal. Our other Conservative Party that are instead of they went further to the right under a Trumpian supporter, ScoMo, got absolutely hammered at the elections. Moved even further right under a corrupt police person, Peter Dutton. When I say corrupt, apparently when he resigned from the police force, all his co-workers left cans of dog food on his desk. He was that sort of policeman. He considered a dog even in the ranks of the police force. They got hammered even further, and Dutton lost his seat. So you can't be prime minister if you haven't, or leader of a party if you're not in government. What's happened, instead of going, oh, okay, duh, we've learnt our lesson, they're coming back towards more centric, which is what the majority of Australians are, they've gone even further right in an attempt to take on the Orange Harpies One Nation Party, who is, make Australia great again. Oh, please, where have we heard that before? Now, there has been a recent poll, I'm just going to comment on that. There has been a recent poll that came out that was claiming that One Nation Party is absolutely surging ahead in support. However, if you look at who actually did the polling on that particular poll, it was the same ones that said the dog food Dutton led party would win in a landslide. Well, they got absolutely hammered, and Dutton himself lost his seat. So I don't know that I'd trust the polling from that particular company. And then they're also claiming they had the Orange Harpies One Nation Party. They had some sort of money raising rally event yesterday, and they raised all of $1 million. Oh, whoopee doo. So, just that sort of energy. And that's what this sort of energy is that's happening with Conor McGregor and Tommy Robinson as well. Now, I'm hoping that the people of the UK can see through it. But tell me, what's going to happen? Okay, what's going to happen? What's the energy? So, KK, thank you. They're telling me to do an energies reading. The energy of Belfast in the wake of this event. How's it going to go? Now, you've got the agitators there, Conor McGregor and Tommy Robinson, trying to really politicise and stir things up. Speaking of politicise and stir, they were also trying to use the stabbing where sadly the person did pass away for political anti-immigration because apparently the person that did the stabbing was a Sikh. However, both the stabber and the stabbee were UK citizens. There wasn't immigration involved there. It was just all for political gain, and that's the one Shady Vance was involved in. So hopefully Shady has the death knell for those particular parties, the same he did with Orban and Turkey. But I want to have a look at the energies of Belfast. Let's have a look. Okay, the Ten of Swords. Well, speaking of stabbing, the signifier here, the Ten of Swords. People are at the end of their tether in regards to the violence. The problem is, I hope they understand that this divisive, aggressive rhetoric and this it actually creates more violence. And Conor McGregor and Tommy Robinson know that. And those that are backing them know that. They know that violence begets violence. So this is what they're playing into. So, but the Ten of Swords, it's almost like people are done with the violence. It's not, and I'm not talking about the asylum seeker who caused the violence. It'll be really interesting to see why, because you've got to remember this asylum seeker came from what was a horrific civil war zone. So whether they had been goaded, needled, I mean, it doesn't excuse it in any manner whatsoever, but I'll be interested to hear the story of the Sudanese chappie as to why, because I don't think it wasn't a robbery or it. I mean, this carrying of knives, which again is just awful and wish people wouldn't do it, because if you haven't got it, you can't use it, is very much like in the US with the carrying of guns. And because of the strict gun laws in countries like the Ireland, UK, Australia, etc., the weapon of choice is knives, because you can purchase a knife pretty much over the counter or get knives easily. So yeah, the Ten of Swords, it's just one more. But I will be interested because this is a 10, it's an ending card. It's like being stabbed once too often, stabbed in the back. But you've also got the figure here in the manacles. So I'm really interested here because the guy was arrested, to hear his side of the story as to why he did this. Because I think we probably won't be surprised. The Ten of Swords. The second signifier is the Page of Swords. So this is a different spread. I'll talk you through the cards as I go through. So we've got the Page of Swords. A youth. Now I don't know how old the guy was, but it is youthful energy. With bringing forward this one sword. You've got social media here. There'll be a lot of riling up about social media, but I think what's happening here is this is almost like a taming of social media. So the information about this coming forward, the truth about this coming forward, and very probably over social media. I did have a quick look this morning to see if there's any further update. I don't think I didn't see any. There might be by the time I'm finished. Knight of Wands, volatile energy, just a powder keg waiting to go off. This is the energy behind the scenes here. Yeah, a powder keg, very possibly verbal goading or verbal abuse here. Doesn't justify it. And then we've got the Hermit. The isolation, introspection, trying to find a path forward, shining a light into the dark. I am going to be really, as I keep saying it, I think the reason why this happened, and the guy ended up getting arrested, he's in custody, is going to be incredibly interesting as to the reason why, and I hope he does explain the reason why. Because this, as I said, powder keg waiting to go off, volatile wordage to those potentially that are feeling isolated. But this is also about shining a light in what is not yet seen. Got the Page of Cups. Unexpected, emotional, overwhelming coming out of this Knight of Wands. So what is going to be offered up is going to be unexpected, it's going to be emotive, and it very possibly is going to be on the nose for a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying this guy deserved it at all, and I'm not justifying what happened at all, but I don't think it was a one-way street. Okay. We've got here, coming out of the Hermit, is the Three of Wands. Information coming in, information being returned, finding out the reality behind the matter, but also you've got the ship of fools with its full sails coming in, charging full steam towards the shore. Not even full steam, full sail towards the shore. So this is aggressive. I mean, nobody sails like that close to the shore. It is aggressive sailing coming in. It's also up in the sky. I hadn't noticed that before. That ship is actually up in the sky. So a lot of hot air coming in under full sail. Ship of fools with the fool on the mainsail there, coming in from a position higher than what it should be with the information that comes forward. So I'm feeling there's going to be a lot of hot air outrageousness that's going to be declared that isn't actually based in reality with the messaging that comes out. Crowning this reading, you've got the Hierophant, the higher authorities, the courts, the energy over it, and the Seven of Wands defending their position against attack. So there's going to be some sort of ruling that comes down or information that comes out via the courts, via the police investigations, that they're going to have to defend against this sort of volatile aggression. Now you've got the two dragons here on this Knight of Wands. Fiery, aggressive language. He's got the dragon on his shirt. Is this the courts, or is this the guy that was attacked having to defend his position, defend his verbiage? I think this might be the guy that was attacked. So we've got the courts here and the guy that was attacked, because this is the karma over this energy. The courts hearing both sides, the guy that was attacked having to try and defend his position, but he might find it a bit rough in the media, in the social media and the media, as the truth behind it comes out. Because I don't think he's not squeaky clean. He's not squeaky clean in regards to his part in this. Again, does not excuse the outcome, does not excuse the action. But I don't think he's going to be squeaky clean. Okay, the immediate future, the Queen of Coins. Sorry, the outcome, Queen of Coins and the Temperance. So the Queen of Coins can be at the table, at the family table. She's very much in tune with nature. Documentation being brought forward perhaps here that's going to lower the temperature with temperance. You've got the Star of Healing, and then you've got the King of Coins, the protection. Mind you, this could also be the likes of Conor McGregor, financially backed. It's the next card, Justice. No, I don't think it is. I think because you've got justice, actions having consequences, but also weighing the scales. The pen versus the sword. Often the pen is mightier than the sword, but weighing the scales of justice and the wheel of fortune, turning and karma. Oh, and on the bottom I've got the Fool and the Death card. And we've got the Six of Coins, money changing hands potentially to try and incite. So you've got the Seven of Coins here, being made to look a fool. That should bring this to an end of what was. But then you've got the Six of Coins. It could be reparation, or it could be money changing hands and being harvested, return on investment, because we've got the Five of Wands, we've got the Chariot, we've got the Lies, and we've got the Mercenaries. So chaotic movement forward amid lies and paid mercenaries. The Six of Swords, leaving, and then you got the Five of Swords amid the abuse of power, King of Swords and Tower card. Some legal ruling that's going to bring the whole lot collapsing down. This is mercenaries trying to force mainly women and children because they are the most vulnerable. So therefore, let's attack the most vulnerable with this aggressive abuse. But there might be some legal ruling that just tears the whole thing down. When I'm talking the whole thing, I'm talking about the Conor McGregors, Tommy Robinson types, the ones that are stirring up, just really stirring up. I think there might be some information that comes out. Ooh, okay. Just watch the information that comes out. I was just given a hit. I'm not going to repeat it. Entertainment only. I'm not going to repeat it. I will be interested to see if that is actually part of the reason behind. And it's just not name calling is what I'm going to say. And no, okay, my guides are saying zip it. Okay. The Sudanese civil war, just a couple of cards. Are we going to see an end? I mean, the people of Sudan, they just want democracy. But what's happening is you've got, be interested to know, I would not be surprised if the Ruskies were behind one side and the US were behind the other side. I'm talking about the regimes or something to that effect. But now that these particular countries, or Israel's behind one side, is not real, and China's behind the other or something, financing them, supplying arms, etc. I mean, the US does have a reputation for doing that, I'm sorry to say. Not talking about the people again, the regime. The people of Sudan, all they want is to live in peace. They want a democracy. They want to be able to grow their crops and feed their children. Tell me about. Now that these regimes that like to stir up this trouble in other parts of the world that causes migration, now that they're starting to falter, How are things like the Sudanese war going to go? Let's have a quick look, just a couple of cards. Right, the Two of Coins, Two of Cups, and the Judgment card. I do like that. This is about the money, reduction in the money. Two of Coins, trying to keep things going, but this is the reduction in the money, but this is also then people coming together and a collective awakening, bringing a call to arms. And then you've got the Doves of Peace here as well. Two tends to bring about an ending on both sides. So much death, so much unnecessary death. But yeah, Two of Coins, downward spiral of the finances that will force the parties to come together. We've got the Four of Coins, the Three of Wands, and then the Six of Cups. Emotionally going back to better times when children could be children. They weren't forced in, they could play with their toys. They weren't forced into being child soldiers, etc. We've got an inspirational female here that will show the path forward with the Two of Wands. So we've got 1, 2, 3 twos. It's going to be a crossroads situation. You've got the illusion delusion, the downfall of the Emperor that is going to bring a change with the Wheel of Fortune. This Emperor energy. Yeah, again, it's like a lot of the world that once these toilet rim holders that are currently being flushed let go and are gone, there will be change throughout the world, including places like Australia with our Orange Harpy Party. Yeah, as this financing of these extremists and agitators falls away. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Love to you all. Catch you shortly. If I'm not on tomorrow, it's because I've been called up for grandma duties in the morning. Catch you later. Bye-bye.